jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show.
Join us as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Listener discretion is advised. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show.
I felt I owed it to you to be every bit as high as I would be on my own show. It's called respect, man.
Respect. Street cred. We are especially talking about someone who's got some street cred.
That's right.
Oh, man. I mean, so I'll circle around. The newest guest goes first. Bunny, when did you
Yes.
first realize you've seen Danny Trejo in everything? What was the movie where you're just like, I've seen that guy. Who the hell is he?
I'm gonna say that it had to have been probably Desperado.
Okay, there you go.
But he was like really like, it's that guy. And like with Desperado, it's like, okay, I gotta find out this dude's name now.
Man, I had seen Spy Kids, but then I, was seeing just other shows like Monk and NYPD Blue, and always playing just an atypical guy. I know many other people who just watch way too much TV knew him from King of the Hill, and I just think it helped that he was in a bunch of other crossover episodes of various shows, and he was on plenty of other shows multiple times, so that helped. They would replay the episode he was on of X-Files, and I was like, jeez, okay, so he is in everything. John, when did you realize you couldn't go a day without seeing Trejo on your TV screen?
Well, like Bunny said, Desperado was the first one.
Really?
After that was From Dusk Till Dawn, then Replacement Killers. Small role.
Oh, damn. Okay, so I was just waiting for someone to say Heat or Con Air.
Oh, and Con Air as well, of course.
Because that plays endlessly every weekend. So I guess you could say, other than just being a former felon turned actor turned Samaritan kind of guy, and now a restaurant owner and kind of connected to some straightforward activism. What do you think just kind of just keeps him just in the hearts of many, that just to where everyone wants to see what he's doing, or they light up, or the movie that, or even a video game that he's in just takes a totally different twist?
I think that like in his heart, he knows how fucking lucky in life he's gotten, and he like projects that.
Very much so. He just kind of had the certain kind of look. You could see him being the Cholo role, the grandfather, Uncle Manny,
Yeah.
and I'm even more surprised when I see him in an atypical role, like playing a prison guard or a federale, you know.
Yeah.
um, you look at even some of his earlier roles, he would often just be the annoying barfly or, bartender, pool player.
True.
And half the time you would forget he was in these movies. I've seen that he's worked a few just recurring other times with other people who he doesn't even talk about. You just wish an interviewer would actually ask him that, as opposed to the billionth, when did you get into movies?
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's even more interesting how he was definitely one of many actors who, when I first saw him, I just realized, kind of like Samuel L. Jackson, is like, you could be famous and awesome, everyone likes you, and not give a shit about what role you're taking on. It doesn't affect you at all.
Yeah.
You got too much that you've done to where the quantity can't even affect the overall quality that everyone likes.
Very true.
So I guess, what role do you think he's often chased after that people like want to talk about that isn't Machete or anything?
Ooh. Well,
Like what movie they
You
would
think he
most
gets
approach
asked-
him with? Like if they saw
like-
him at a convention, what's the shit they would want him to sign? That kind of a thing.
Yeah, or just most often recognized. This is like, I know you from that.
I think I'm gonna have to go Spy Kids.
Okay, yeah, I mean, because
Yeah.
that was seen by everyone. Adults went to it. It was a spy spoof. So, I mean, Rodriguez is apparently like a distant cousin of his, so that's why he just started casting him in every movie.
we didn't even know that until they filmed Desperado, that was his cousin.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up truth. I guess you could say I would probably have to go with Con Air. I mean, Heat's probably the better of those two movies, but Con Air, just playing Johnny 23, I remember him even saying in an interview he would be recognized on the street and someone would even call him by his character name, Johnny 23. Stupid name, but John, what about you?
No, I was gonna say Con Air as well.
Okay. Who are you surprised he hasn't worked with? Because I mean, he's worked with freaking everybody. Rob Zombie, U-Ball.
Judy Dench.
Oh,
That's
there
where
you
I'm
go.
going.
There you go.
I really want to see a Danny Trejo, Dame Judy Dench, team up, like crossover.
There you go. He could be some gang member in a upcoming James Bond movie. They get an international cast.
Well, I'm thinking maybe like let's do Cats again.
Direct
With
video
the
sequel.
assholes this
There you go.
time.
There you go.
And Danny Trejo can be Mr. Mistopheles.
Oh, there you go. He'll have they'll be completely naked cats with CGI suits. It'll be something. Paramount Home Entertainment, DreamWorks or Universal, whoever the hell released that.
Unfortunately, Universal.
Yeah, music by the Wiggles or some shit. He's in the whole goddamn thing. Oh man, that'd be great.
I love this movie with Keanu Reeves. I think that would be interesting.
There you go, John Wick 5.
I'll be down with
Yeah.
that.
I'm surprised the Wachowskis or other people haven't used him. When you look at some of his earlier movies that you saw multiple times, but it took you multiple viewings, like post-fame, for you to realize, oh yeah, that's right, he is the guy on the bus or the escaped prisoner who blows up, what was your reaction to that? Like, I totally forget. I've seen plenty of these movies multiple times, but because he's kind of just a featured extra with dialogue, I forget that he's in those movies, like Marked for Death,
I was gonna say
Maniac Cop
that
2.
Yeah.
Lockout with Stallone, Bulletproof, Busey, Charles Bronson movie, Congetti, as well as Death Wish 4. He gets blown up by one of his bombs. The Hidden, and of course, then you go all the way back to the one that started it all, Runaway Train. But
Yeah.
Blood
Yeah.
In, Blood Out has such a huge cast, and even I forget he's in that one sometimes because they're just. Even though he has a much bigger role out of all his prisoner roles, I just think of all the other, actors that are in that, like Raymond Cruz, Benjamin Bratt, and Delroy Lindo. Oh, jeez. I guess, what do you kind of just even admire? Who do you think has been his best person to kind of star opposite of? Because, I mean, he's done an ensemble cast, but he kind of always kind of easily fits into those cat and mouse kind of roles. just going against the hero. Is that good? There was this awful C. Thomas Howell movie I remember he did back in '97 called Dilemma. He was basically just setting bombs off, and people were rediscovering it when they were going through his movies at, thrift stores, video stores, and I'm like, yeah, but this movie just totally wastes him. And then he has been in plenty of other movies where it's like a blink and a miss, and you just would forget he's in it. It's kind of even funny how maybe Iborgs, yeah, that's an actual name of a movie, where basically he has to fight these tiny robots that kill people. It's just hysterical just seeing him react to something that's not there, clearly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never heard of that one.
It's
Neither.
hysterical movie. Poor Adrian Paul from Highlander. It's kind of fun seeing him go against Stone Cold Steve Austin in the movie Recoil, but I think you guys would get a kick out of the Badass movies.
Yeah.
He and Danny Glover are just literally just two homeless junkies just going around just beating people up. And yeah, in the second one he gets to fight, the Wishmaster Andrew Devov, and part 3 he literally gets to can multiple just rednecks and other bigots.
Mm-hmm.
It's even more enjoyable to watch it now, I'll just say that. Given what garbage is going on in the real world. It is kind of wild how I'm surprised with how many movies he's been in, how he's been able to kind of fortunately avoid appearing in just very rare, hard to find, or just unfinished movies. He pretty much was like in only just one, and it was just like a movie where it's like the directors and the fundraisers went to jail. He and 50 Cent starred in it. No one's ever seen it. That was like in 06 or something, or 2012 or something. It's just like, well, yeah, it's not coming out.
That's always good. That's always good when a production closes down because the producers got busted.
Right.
Mm.
What else could you ask for?
Exactly.
I guess I'm mainly just annoyed when I see him in some of these recent ensemble movies, and he's literally not used at all. He's just there to sell the movie, but he doesn't do anything in the range or even overall scope of the film. Oh. I guess what would you like to see him in at this point?
Oh man, it feels like he's almost been in everything. That's a good question.
Played boxers, he's played narcs. Shit, when we were talking about Breaking Bad, we were saying he should have had a bigger role on that.
I agree. Trying to think.
I mean,
Well,
he's
I
been
could
in
see him as
vampire and serial killer movies, so I mean,
I was gonna say maybe like a vampire hunter.
there you go. He already plays a zombie hunter, so let's play a vampire hunter.
That'll be great.
I'm actually I don't watch many cartoons nowadays, but he's been in almost all the big time recent cartoon shows. Tangled the series, Alina of Avalar, freaking Adventures of Puss in Boots. Jeez. He was on a hysterical segment of The Daily Show back in 2014, and I remember like my mother and sister, we were all watching it. It's like, pause the TV. Look who's in that damn segment. doing a total parody of his Machete character, just basically making fun of immigrant workers being hassled on the street.
I really appreciated his Jan Brady. I think he's often overlooked for that. And I think that was a Snickers commercial or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Machete Don't Text was one, yeah. My God, he voices someone in a Fast and Furious cartoon show. Jesus Christ.
I just saw that too.
He appeared on The Masked Singer and was eliminated in the second appearance. Jesus. So everyone kind of just recognizes him a little more, and that's kind of a way. What's more unusual is like usually nowadays you basically got to be in like something that starts with the word star or that's a superhero thing, and he doesn't really even need any of that street cred. He hasn't even done that per se. And so it's so wild how he'll just appear at on one of those Muppet shows. In fact, he just appeared on the recent one for Disney Plus. So there you go.
Nice.
2 episodes of American Gods. Wow. Jeez. I mean, I did have some friends who used to watch the recent version of The Flash and said he was on there on a recurring role. It's like someone's uncle. So it's like he plays a guy named the Preacher.
Oh God, yes. How did I forget that? I love The Flash. Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, he's like from a parallel dimension, and one of the main characters in the show is like involved romantically with his daughter.
That's what it. Okay, so there you go. It's the other way around. And take a personally, essay. Nice. I did see his episode of Anthony Bourdain. That was a great episode. Can't believe, that was 5 years ago. And it was so funny how he basically did a brief summary of his whole resume and how he got into the business, but it was just so cool seeing him talk to host Anthony and, while they're eating. Asking about life. So I guess you could say overall, I guess the appealing factor is just that he's the element of surprise. That's pretty much what works in his favor. He even has, it didn't take long for him to even just start randomly appearing in movies and shows as himself. I remember me and my sister just both guffawed just hysterically on his episode of Angie Tribeca, because it's a total Naked Gun, office kind of show. He just randomly just shows up in the prison. He's like, "Hey, what you doing?" They're like, "Oh shit." They kind of do a Wayne Brady Chappelle Show kind of skit. They're just like, "Oh shit, Trejo's here." out of the way. And it was just like, okay. And it was kind of wild because they totally promoted it like in the promos, and like as the episode was saying, like the announcer said, "And we're gonna have Mr. Danny Trejo appear later," and I just totally forgot because I'm distracted by all the other mayhem. Like, oh, that's right, he is appearing on this show, and he's not playing anyone; he's playing himself. I remember some pals, in fact, shout out to friends of the show, Munson's at the Movies. They talked about how they really hated him on Sons of Anarchy because apparently he plays like a CIA guy who's somehow trying to infiltrate like the whole drug trafficking and motorcycle gang. I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty stupid plot twist for starters.
Yeah, but also I'm sure Danny Trejo being on set still thought they were a bunch of pussies.
I bet he did. I would not be surprised if he asked the producers, "Can I be, credited as gang supervisor?"
Yeah.
I'm not buying anything how these guys are walking and talking. Yeah, no. Honestly, the only guest spot I felt he was kind of wasted in was probably that one episode of Stargate Atlantis. That's back in 2007, and would always see it on his resume, and then when I went for the whole saga a few years back, it still holds up great. I love the whole franchise now. Some of them even more than I did when it was on reruns, and I had no history of it prior. And I gotta say, his episode kind of suffers from just kind of being a little more random, but like he kind of just shows up as a bandit with 2 machine guns and then kind of disappears. I was just like, why'd they even bother, putting him in the episode? But I guess someone had to do it. I've told John this story before. There's a lot of stupid people who seem to just go to movies not knowing what to expect. I went to Predators opening weekend, maybe Friday, I don't remember, but I know I went and saw it in the theater with my uncle and his girlfriend, who is now my aunt. And we had like an audience that was like getting super grossed out. They're like, "Oh, nasty!" And it's like, you're watching Predators, it's supposed to be a gory movie, and he shows up dead, not even an hour into the movie. And what was funny is I remember one Latina guy in the back shouted up, "Machete died!" it was just so odd. I'm like, I don't know. To me, Trejo is basically the acting version of Al Leong, that Chinese stuntman from Lethal Weapon and the original Die Hard. Big Trouble in Little China. He's that guy. He's just even like Samuel Jackson or even Robert De Niro these days, and you're not surprised when he gets popped full of lead or just shows up and walks by an explosion. In many ways, I guess you could say, because he looks just so honest, even if he's not playing a gangster, you pretty much just buy into it. It's like, yeah, I mean, he's dying and he's saying some farewell. It's like, yep, that just happened. I buy it. Now, I haven't seen the more recent, like, 3rd SpongeBob movie. I'm told he plays a guy called El Diablo.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Jesus, they did another American Pie? Jesus crap.
If you remember, he also popped up as the chief in Fanboys.
I was actually gonna say that one, but yeah, I'm glad you're the second of 2 people here who's seen that. That is so wild. How it was just an unexpected role for him, because he just he wasn't even playing a gangster that time. That time he was just being a random guy saying some absolute wisdom and sometimes saying some absolute bullshit. And it was just so wild, because I mean the whole movie is basically Star Wars fanboys trying to see a early screener of Phantom Menace, infiltrating, Skywalker Ranch, running into some trackies. It's a very nutty movie that got totally mishandled by the studio.
Yeah.
And it is just so funny how, he kind of becomes a big part of that whole movie, kind of gives it more of a road trip kind of feel. Like Cheech and Chong, I guess you could say, vibe
with nerds,
right, with geeks and nerds. And oh man, did you ever see The Curse of El Charo?
Oh yeah. I keep meaning to. I really want to see Machete in space, because I just love this whole idea. Like from the get-go, pretty much, Robert Rodriguez, to me, now I'm just speculating, but it looks to me like he planned to do the life and death of a franchise,
right,
in a trilogy of Machete movies.
Here's a question.
So I really want to see Machete in space, because that is the death nail for Machete.
Do you think he's gonna have like a Scarface kind of mansion and be blasting aliens? Well, and maybe even die like his character in Reindeer Games, where he just gets shotgunned to death?
Yep.
In a casino, no less. God, that's a good point. They're gonna, if you're gonna do some, they're gonna do it eventually when Rodriguez gets like 2 million more that he just wants to blow his load on. I mean, he'll definitely do another Machete. I do remember.
Well, maybe we take Jason, the Leprechaun,
Oh, okay.
Pinhead
Yeah.
from Hellraiser.
The Wishmaster.
All the dead franchises that died in space.
Oh, and then you got to get the Warlock.
And yeah, and add Danny Trejo.
Okay, so there you go.
Okay.
I mean, Machete appeared in like one of those like Call of Duty like add-ons where a bunch of people reprised their famous stalker roles and everything. Sarah Michelle Gellar was like a playable character. Robert Englund and Kane Hodder were on there. So yeah, I'm sure they'll work Machete into just being part of some franchise. I wouldn't be surprised if Rodriguez teamed up with Rob Zombie and they made that part of his whole Devil's Rejects.
I would not be surprised.
Oh, yes, please. That last one, man. I was not happy with the last one.
And yet he showed up. I was just like, whoa, hey, okay, of course he's here.
Mhm.
Not Lords of Salem. What was the other one he did? That was like 2018.
31.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, yep, he's here. Free from Hell. That's the one. Yeah.
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 Hell.
Yeah. Oh God. I know he's in the, he's in all the Death Race sequels, so there you go. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, especially since, like, okay, let's ignore the fact that they were all shot to shit in the end of the last movie. You know?
right.
No, they survived. I mean, I am really forgiven with movies, but give me a fucking better excuse than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of just it didn't matter, or like Roger Corman type movies where it's like, I know none of this matters because at the end you're just gonna set it up for another, endless sequel anyway, where the creature comes back to life after blowing it up. It's like it's like everybody here is basically Godzilla. It didn't matter. It was all in vain.
It was all pointless.
And it was and this one was just more up its ass than Devil's Reject was,
Yeah.
It was taking itself way too serious for the kind of movie it was, I thought, anyway.
Yeah.
But Danny Trejo,
Mhm. Anything for Danny. We'll watch at least one of his movies nowadays for him.
I'm just reeling it back in.
No, it's all good. I once told many people how I remembered him from 6 Days, 7 Nights. I'm like, that's not a movie I want to remember anyone for.
Yeah, I forgot he was in that, honestly.
I didn't help that there were 2 Star Wars actors. There was Jango Fett and then there was freaking Harrison Ford. And it's like, and he's like one of the, again, it's just like, you pretty much buy him if he's just playing one of the goons versus the gang leader. And so I'm sure he pretty much even makes that request nowadays. It's like, nah, man, I gotta be the leader. I can't be the, the pussy who works for the man. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm sure Machete in Space will probably be released around, dare I say, 2030.
Probably.
Yes.
Perfect anniversary. Yeah. Oh,
Well, they're going to have to hurry because Danny's getting up there.
he is. I mean,
Yeah.
I was really pissed off around the time. I don't think you can even find this article anymore, when he even said that, like, they made a fake false claim that he was going to be in the Expendables just to conjure up some Hispanics to check the movie out. I'm like, yeah, if that's the case, then you should have had. I mean, there was no reason why you didn't put him in the movie anyway. I mean, you kidding? He's been in plenty of those Commando type knockoff movies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Especially
But
since he was
from Machete in Space, I don't care how they work it in, but at some point during a gun battle, Danny Trejo has to be dressed up to resemble Chewbacca.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Why didn't they already do that? I mean, he's been in so many sci-fi parodies, and he's like, jeez.
Yeah.
Do we have to write Danny Trejo's career for? I don't know.
Let him grab a crossbow laser.
Oh, I'm loving the way you think. Oh,
Same
and
here.
I don't care if it's this movie or any other movie, but he needs to be in a movie where they like open it up and it's like a total parody of the Shawshank Redemption. He like escapes and uses a poster to cover up his escape that he's been digging.
Yeah.
He finds redemption. He's playing a Highlander kind of character. And each time he's ready to duel, there's lightning and a storm that comes out of nowhere. He has a ghost dog type of etiquette about to him where he's caring for some pigeons. Trying to reawaken the Native American soul within him that he lost when he was wrongfully imprisoned. I don't know. Some bullshit.
Okay. Let me ask the question that I think everybody is afraid to ask.
Oh no. Controversial.
Well,
Controversial. No.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Danny Trejo as an actor.
Well,
mhm.
I don't care if I have to give up my whole movie credibility card. It's an 80 out of 10.
It's what?
It's an 80 out of 100 scale.
It's an 80 out of 100, yeah? Okay.
I'm an asshole. I just can't help it. It's like, because,
The same thing.
yeah, he can pretty much, as deep as he's probably gone was probably with Sherry Baby, you know, where he's playing like the parole officer who's like, or ex-convict who's like in love with Maggie Gyllenhaal. He's, again, yeah, he's done all the bandit roles. He's done all the, you know, family member roles. I mean, he still has kind of a likable aura to him. And then he's done some very rare underseen movies. Like he did a movie where he dies a very tragic death as a police officer in Night Stalker, which is loosely based on the actual
Yeah.
stalker that, you know, terrorized during the 70s.
Ramirez, was it?
I
I believe so.
think so, yes. Yeah, he's right. And much like Lance Henriksen, Tony Todd, Michael Ironside, all these, you know, B-movie guys who conquered every terrain. Everyone wants to check a movie out because of him, because he just has that likability, and he's...
Yes, but likability, and I'll totally give you that, but likability and acting ability are two different things.
They are. As deep as he's gotten, have probably been some underseen indie films like Valley of Angels is one. He's done a few other Native American roles. He was in this one Van Damme movie called Inferno, which was kind of like Fanboys, but more spiritual.
Yeah.
I think you could say he's both accepted the typecasting as well as just made some stupid decisions or never turned anything down. So I'll give you that. I think sometimes he's only as good as the material, and other times he basically took a long ass while to kind of get to where he was. Because when he started out, he really was just, you know, gangbanger number 5 with some or no dialogue, or just he was hired just because he was going to give just, you know, an over-the-top gaze. Now, realistically, no, I don't think he's Oscar-worthy. I'm just putting that as just in general. I mean, you voice boots the monkey.
He tries, man. He is really earnest.
Right.
And tries. You know, like his Devil's Rejects, his whole little roach speech was hysterical.
Right. And it's all we can ask for when you've started out.
Yeah.
Again, with movies with the likes of Steven Seagal and David Hasselhoff. That's all we can ask. So, I think Michael Mann has given him a little extra points because he's been in a bunch of his other shows that he worked on outside of just the movie Heat. I guess you could say George Lopez has embraced him too. He's appeared on a lot of his shows that haven't been on the air as much. So I guess you could say he's at least also embraced comedy, unlike any of these other guys who are just always Mr. Serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they pull a Ernie Hudson, as I call, where they either just say something straight face and it depends on the tone of the movie that makes it funny or serious. Because it doesn't matter. They're just gonna give you what you want. Just let them know so they're in on the joke. He definitely got helped out by appearing on a lot of those Matt Nix shows, like The Good Guys and Burn Notice. So I guess now he's just instantly recognized. I saw that he's on an episode of New Looney Tunes playing like a lieutenant. So it's like, okay. From what I remember, I'd have to rewatch it. I think his American Gods role was pretty deep. So I think he's at least, people are liking him enough to where they're at least even writing some deeper roles for him.
Yeah.
And he's able to dive into it because he's been given permission. Don't get me wrong. He's in Blood In, Blood Out with Damien Chapa. Chapa, as I'm concerned, was never much of an actor. And if you've seen what, Maverick Home Entertainment, Redbox worthy stuff he's been in the last 3 decades, Trejo is more than just, simple put me on the video store shelf. He pretty much just stays busy doing everything. And even just, like you say, he keeps appearing in that, what's the one alternative for the high-speed internet? Sling, that's the one. He keeps appearing in that ad, and that's a funny ad, but he's way more smooth there as opposed to being in character as the machete guy. So I think you could say he took a while to pick what kind of personas he wants to relay. Now you see him appearing in music videos, and he's walking around just giving a shit-eating grin, which isn't
again, likability goes a long, long way, and he is likable as hell.
Yeah. What would I not cast him as? I mean, he's been the love interest on Spar, indie films. He's been the serious and the comic relief. I guess what I wouldn't cast him as might be probably a movie where, I mean, I'd like to see him play a lawyer or a judge. How about maybe an astronaut?
Well, try it from a different angle, okay? So, what, like, out of existing movies, what would you not cast him in?
Anaconda.
Anaconda?
Yes, because he doesn's do anything except blow his brains out in that movie.
That's true.
The fear on his eyes looks real, but I'm just saying it's just a waste of a credit. I see what you're saying. Like, when we talked about Steve Buscemi, we kind of talked about how he'd been in some movies where he was likable, but he was kind of miscast as the lead. I could probably rely on him to carry a movie. I think the problem is most of the time it's a bait and switch. Like, you're led to believe he's the main star when really he's just, was on set for a day and they put his, face on the cover of whatever movie.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, it'd be funny if he was in a just more outrageous role, like, I don't know, a porn producer, a narc who's laundering money, maybe even a different kind of monster hunter. Because I mean, I've seen him even on occasion play a priest, especially in that Awful Crow sequel.
Oh god.
Oh god, that one.
I mean, I guess what I would really just prefer him not do, to answer the question in some degree, is just stop appearing in some of these Asylum movies.
Oh god.
I like that.
I love making fun of Sci-Fi Channel, but Asylum just goes too far when, like, Sharknado, it's just, like, intentionally shitty, and it's just, like, it takes out the fun.
Yeah, it really
Exactly.
does. I mean, the one thing about bad movies is bad movies have to have a heart. Somebody has to
Exactly.
have loved
Mhm.
them, and
If
they've just gone bad.
Exactly, and it'd be one thing if it was like an SNL parody, because I mean that's just 5 minutes that you lose. It's like when it's an entire 90 minutes and you're like just staring at it in disbelief that someone got on set each day to make it. It just infuriates you, like to say. I guess I'd like to see him try an Adult Swim talk show host, like do his version of Eric Andre. And just Space Ghost, just troll everybody. Be like, all right, out of here. You're a terrible host.
That'll be
Terrible guest.
Yeah, I totally agree about Sharknado. I didn't care for it because it was exactly all like, wink, wink. This is bad, right, guys? Wink, wink. It's funny, huh? Wink, wink, wink.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I hate about
It's a cult movie.
Aren't you
But,
glad
like,
your
if
grandmother bought this
If you watch
ripoff?
The Room,
Oh yeah.
you could tell Tommy Wiseau loved that movie.
He loved himself.
Yeah.
He was
It's a piece of shit,
right.
but it comes
Yeah.
from the right place.
And like Samurai
Like
Cop,
Sharknado.
he just thought, as long as it takes, I'm a millionaire, so I will spend 30 million, even though this movie looks more like a 2 million, 5 a.m. movie. Not
Yeah.
and like you say, I mean, there's a limit to everyone's ego, and when it just gets to where it's just like, well, I didn't piss too many people off. It's like, yeah, but you still pissed some people off.
Mhm.
You can choose how many people you want to piss off. Like you say, I mean, I think realistically he's probably a 60, maybe a 70 in terms of the acting skill, because he's just been in some movies when really allowed, and then he's been in some other stinkers where he just has nothing to contribute other than just, look shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mainly, I mean, if you haven't seen it, St. John of Las Vegas, I think, is another good use of his comedic ability. The most unwatchable movie I think I've seen, probably Shoot the Hero. It's a total mindfuck of a movie. I've liked other movies that this guy has done, like Vigilante Diaries, but that one, no. I've tried twice to watch it and I don't know what is going on. It's like a total mindfuck of a movie without the fun. It just it ends up just infuriating you. I think Badass was definitely just perfect for him because he not only had the look and the feel, but he got some decent material where he was even able to just kind of do kind of a mockery of like the Deer Hunter in a way where he was just like, no, I'm gonna fight. So I think you could say he's also an actor. He needed some extra coaching, and he needs like, he can play to the camera in some instances, and other times like the filmmakers have to go the extra mile to get that awesome a thing. So
Yeah.
he definitely couldn't do local theater. That would be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he could do an open mic stand-up night. I don't know.
I could see that.
John Leguizamo, do you have his number? You want to make a cameo as Enrique Iglesias' dad? I don't know.
That's a thought.
Hot and fluffy, and Matt is Machete. I don't know.
That would be interesting. That would let's see Danny Trejo in a biopic about Julio Iglesias.
There you go.
There you go.
That could be interesting.
Right. Instead of just appearing in these music videos looking intense or wacky. And he definitely has the most unusual out of anyone who's appeared in music videos.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know half these people, but the most I know is Mobb Deep and Slayer. But
Yeah.
started stuff with Sia and Yellow Wolf, Tech Nine. Well, I know Tech Nine, but I didn't know he worked with the Jonas Brothers. Jesus.
And even mad, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oof.
But he was with Slayer twice. Carlos Santana, so there you go, a recent one. It's cool. I guess I'm just glad he didn't sink to just such a low level to where he was just a D-lister.
Yeah.
True. It's not like some of those guys like Bruce Willis or even Travolta that have just
Nick-
embarrassed themselves.
Nick Cage didn't even read it.
That's true.
Travolta, where it's like, yeah, no. What made you think this was ever a good idea?
Oh, the fanatic.
Oh dear.
There are a lot of actors that keep making movies and are successful.
I'm surprised he hasn't done.
Mostly because they're likable, and I call that the
Yeah.
Robert Preston effect. Robert Preston was
Not to be
Robert
confused.
Preston in every friggin' thing I've ever seen him in. I've never seen him play another character that wasn't Robert Preston.
Other than Victor and Victoria, yeah, he's just like, yeah, he's the asshole.
Yeah.
At least you also kind of just get an idea that he's not like Vivica A. Fox, where he kind of just says yes to everything, and he's also not like Mickey Rourke, where he's burned so many bridges. He's, it's rare that he's gonna get any kind of good role.
Yeah.
Everyone
That's
likes
true.
him now, but it's like, well, back in the day, somewhere in between fame and all the other stuff. I think he's still I think Trejo. So on the scale of actors, I think he's right up there with Lance Henriksen and Tony Todd, where he's always working at something. People like him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's a little beneath them. He's not above them, but he's definitely above, say, someone who is a good actor, but who's also mischievous, like Eric Roberts or.
Yeah.
He's also definitely, both those two, though, combined are way above, say, someone who is just never going to make anything good from this point on. Like, he's just, Screech was one of those from Saved by the Bell, Stacey Dash, any of those F-listers, for lack of a better. It's like, holy shit. I mean, I guess I'm just glad Trejo hasn't done porn or
That we know of.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in anything yet, so I think
Nope.
he's off the hook for that. I mean, he's definitely starred in movies that have had, former B-listers or erotic movie stars making a mainstream appearance, but that's it. I think he's also been fortunate to not star in as many sleazy or crappy or even just rap videos that are total just gangland area type stereotype movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think Robert Rodriguez certainly helped to boost his career quite a bit from a respectability level.
Right.
Yeah.
Being in well, nah, I don't really want to say that. I was going to say more mainstream movies, but he's always done a fair amount of mainstream movies.
I think you could definitely say he had a good agent and he was showing up on time, and because people liked working with him, they gave him more scenes regardless of whether it was in the movies or not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, though, I mean, it could have gone south in a heartbeat, so fortunately it didn't.
Yeah.
I guess where he would go wrong is if he just, I don't know, just something else went wrong. I don't think it will, though. I mean, he's owning a restaurant and people are liking how the turnout of that. He owns like 3 different ones in LA apparently now. So I thought it was just one, but it's like Trejo's Tacos.
He can go wrong if, like, say, promoting a new movie, he shows up on the Stephen Colbert show and just eats a live baby.
Right. If he decides to say something fucked about Latinos, then his agent will
That
probably
could be a
fly.
career ender.
Yeah, it would be the Gina Carano moment where it's like, whoa, no, you know. And fortunately, is he on Twitter or Instagram? I don't think he is much, but if he is, I mean, it's often just been sharing machete memes. So that's just it. He has imagination, but he also doesn't have. He's not aching to get attention. I mean, one of my favorite quotes by him in some random interview, I think it was around 2012. I remember him saying, someone asked him a loaded question, and he actually played ball. He's just like, what some of these, stars need to do is rely on more than just their parents or their manager. They need to just remember, hey, when you go to the beach, the cameras are following you.
He does have a Twitter and Instagram. I just checked.
Okay, perfect. So, and what's he posting? Probably recipes and other stuff. So,
That's what it seems like.
so there you go. I mean, like Bunny's saying, it's just you want to. Yeah, he pretty much wised up. I think he also just knew that he wasn't gonna get a second chance. He fucked up in any way. He was going back, to probably, a penitentiary. And, he couldn't afford to get it wrong.
Yeah.
So like you say, I mean, I think he's also just been good at just realizing he again owes so much, and the last thing he needs, I mean, he also noted how he was high on coke with his uncle when he was doing those jewelry store robberies, just stupid easy to avoid shit. So it was just like, okay, yeah, so give up the drugs. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. He could have probably gained a bunch of weight to where it's like, yeah, no, you're not going to get anything good roll with that. Stayed muscular.
Well, I think if I was Danny Trejo, I would believe in miracles.
I think he definitely does. He was in the right place at the right time. He was minding his own business in his cell. And like I say, I think he definitely just said, he's like, okay, fortunate to have anything that works. Happy to be admired by anyone. When he, has said multiple times how he's admired in the same neighborhoods that he robbed. It's like, it's really eye-opening. I'm sure he just realized, fame and fortune comes in so many different ways. It's good to not be the infamous kind. And I think he does actually believe it now. He doesn't do it as... That's the difference between him and some of these other celebs who will just jump on, sure, yeah. How much does it pay? Yeah, I'll say whatever you want me to say. It's not a PR piece. It's not a easy to do, I'm your mascot for this, piece of shit, contraption that this commercialized property is promoting, and I think that's just it. He's got to believe in what he's doing, let alone what he's saying. And it's not even a matter of... I think it also helped that, yeah, he wasn't as many, acclaimed movies as it was just the infamous blockbusters. And so he always had just some kind of likability, whether you were watching him on the, 7 o'clock TV program or, again, just another indie comedy that no one's heard of that just popped up here on Netflix.
And let's face facts, man. He stands out in a crowd.
He really does.
He really does.
I mean, if Danny Trejo, even if you don't know his name or you don't know any other movie he's been in, you see him in a movie, no matter who he's standing next to, he's gonna draw a certain amount of your attention.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely.
You can be at the best club in town.
You're gonna remember that face.
You will, and
Oh yeah.
at the club in town, you're not going to be paying attention to who's in, who's rapping on the mic, who's doing whatever. You're going to be like, by the way, can I approach Mr. Trejo? I'd like to talk to him. Oh. So I think that just about wraps it up for under an hour. So, Bunny, what are you going to promote on Pope on Film?
Promote on the Pope on Film. Well, this week coming up, we're going to be doing I Woke Up Early the Day I Died with Billy Zane.
That's a real trip of a movie.
We've had an interesting run lately.
Yeah, that's like from 98, and yeah, it's a very crazy movie and it's even wilder because it's like depending on what kind of movies you like, it's kind of weird how it's a movie with an intentional identity crisis where it's doing different styles, and so many people think that's the best or worst movie of 98. Yeah. Now that they're
we've been there, so we're hard bitten coming up on 7 years by now, and we don't restrict ourselves to any genre or anything like that. So like, hey, we've done Begotten. We could do this.
Nice. I guess Billy Zane's a perfect segue as someone who's been in a lot of stuff and is recognized for different things.
It's very true.
Well, it was great having you on here and just weigh in on the appeal versus, again, just what he's known for.
Well,
John,
thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. John, what will you be taking on?
Well, I was supposed to do that Statham movie, but somebody beat me to it on this one. So,
Wrath of Man.
Okay. I'll just look at other ones I can find on Tubi, as I usually do.
Perfect. Okay, well, excellent. This was just very quick and to the point. So, welcome you all back anytime.
All right. You have a great night, guys.
Absolutely.
It's been fun.
All right. Godspeed to you.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new podcast Cure-All? Sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of
They must be destroyed on sight.
as needed, and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Hey, I heard you like movies.
I heard you like to hustle.
I heard you like podcasts.
Well, guess what?
There's a podcast for you out there called The Home Video Hustle.
Damn right.
Every Friday, we talk about whatever movie PJ picks out the bag. What does that mean? Every Wednesday on our YouTube page, I put a bunch of movies in a bag, and PJ picks one out at random. And then we just watch it. We talk about it for maybe like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever we feel like doing, wherever the conversation leads us.
But do we actually talk about the movie?
Most of the time. Tangents galore.
Yes.
So believe me, we may be a movie podcast, but it's not always about movies. We might talk about video games,
Music.
Yeah, that's the big one, music. Sometimes we might get a little bit of politicalness in there.
Yes.
Sometimes we may just, we know what we like to do. We like to tell stories, PJ.
Yeah, yes.
I am the master storyteller
Yes.
of the podcast realm. Undefeated. So if you like to hear about movies, video games, whatever foolishness comes to our mind, the most random stuff you could think of, check out the Home Video Hustle. You can find us on the Stitchers,
Yes.
the Google Play,
Yes.
Apple Podcasts,
What else?
Podbean,
What else?
Podcast Addict,
Goddamn.
all that. Ain't no reason you can't get your hustle on. We everywhere, worldwide, baby.
Hustle, motherfucking hustle.
Hey, we can't cuss in the promo, PJ.
Ah.
We gotta be family friendly. There may be podcasts out there that don't want his hair to say
Ah. Ah.
all
Yeah.
that good fun stuff.
Well, you.
Yeah. don't run the listeners away, PJ.
Ah, I'm sorry.
But this is going kind of long.
Yes.
So we're gonna end this and say, hey, check out the Home Video Hustle every Friday on all the various podcast outlets. Peace.
Peace.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. And while Witch didn't make it to the top of the world, he did make the Gangs of Hollywood podcast. So join the gang and enjoy a movie review podcast about movie gangs, gangsters, mobsters, and the mayhem they cause. You can find GOH Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at GOH Pod at www.gohpod.com, as well as your favorite podcast listening app. And remember, say hello to your little friend for me.
If you take two old punk rockers who are past their prime, put them in front of a movie screen and give them a podcast, what do you get? Cinema Punks. Cinepunks. It's the mixtape of movies.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this movie.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was
How
going to be
did
a
you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Hey everybody, I'm Corey.
And I'm Zach, and we're the hosts of Podcasting After Dark, a cast dedicated to late-night horror and sci-fi of the 80s and 90s, often found on HBO and Cinemax.
You know, the movies your parents didn't want you watching as a kid. You can find us every other week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher.
This is what you want.
This is what you get.
It's time, let's check our cue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. With a one-liner plot holes and gratuitous movies. It's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy at eilfm.podbean.com.
Welcome to Who Was She podcast. I am your host, Tara Jabari. After a decade working in documentaries, marketing, and all things digital media, I found that podcasting is a strong medium to share stories. After years of producing for others, I decided to start my own biographical podcast. Who Was She will focus on the life of a woman throughout Baha'i history. The first season is about Lydia Zemenov. Lydia's story explores the subjects of the power of language and faith. Her father invented the universal language Esperanto, and she came from a Jewish family and became a Baha'i. She grew up during World War I and was killed during World War II in a concentration camp, despite heroic efforts to save her life. How can one person's life intersect with so many others, connect across borders, and inspire a biography which inspired this podcast? Over the next few weeks, I will share her story with you and the lives that were most affected by her and those who affected her life as well. They include her father, Lydia Zemenov, her spiritual mother, American journalist Martha Root, and the Baha'i German soldier Fritz Mako, who worked for the resistance undercover while having to serve the Nazi Party. I want to thank the author Wendy Heller and George Ronald Publishing for their blessing to let me use Heller's biography, Lydia, The Life of Lydia Zemenov, Daughter of Esperanto, as a main and instrumental resource for this podcast. So please subscribe and learn about this amazing woman who traveled through 3 continents in an effort to bring unity through the power of language. You can also find more information on our Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at Who Was She Podcast. Music was composed and performed by Sam Red. I am your host, Tara Jabari. Join us next time as we begin our journey about Lydia Zemenov.
Hi, everybody. It's Mac Jackson. I wanted to invite you to a new site called the Forever Adventure Network. This website has everything: pictures, videos, blogs. There's original music by Harmony Constant, 2 podcasts. One is the MacGyver podcast, where we celebrate Richard Dean Anderson, his iconic roles, and how it's influenced our lives. There's episode discussions, interviews, and life conversations. The second podcast is the Never Gets Old podcast, where we celebrate all the best things that we love in life, from TV, movies, music, and comics. The site is also the home for the MacGyver SG-1 audio series, an ongoing adventure series that continues the adventures of MacGyver and SG-1. There are also multiple stores to choose from for all of your pop culture and adventure needs. Come on by and check us out today. And thanks for joining the adventure.
Are you sick of the same old stale podcasts? Well, then join Vanessa and Darren as they dissect movies of all kinds. The 2 lifelong cinema lovers bring their favorites, curiosities, and first-time watches to the operating table and inject them with a healthy dose of snark. Then there's the waiting room, where they examine books and short stories. So just look for them on Apple Podcasts and where fine podcasts are available. They're part of the Legion Podcast Network. Follow them on Twitter at VD Clinic Pod. Join them on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/VD Clinic Pod, or email them at vdclinicpod@gmail.com. They're ready to cure what ails you. And still, they just might be a little contagious.
We now continue with our program.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show.